Whaalawi loa tā penanga le whanau mai le lau mua le toa e hanai le drone competition. Ma au maulunga le tulanga wau sie se alo le atunu i le United States.
E whaatalo whātua Amerika sa mo e lau whaafonga le nei tu lau le fiafi e ala inisi o tala mai lau KVZK TV. Sa whaia se whaatala tala noanga le matanga luenga le soifua maloloina i le tae o ana le la e tusa ma wha mai pepesi o lo a fia ilo tātou atunu. E au fia ili wha mai o le RSV po o le respiratory syncytial virus e a fia ili ma le wha i se tu lou. Po wha mai a fia ile ma nawa ma le whatawhata.
O no le whatupula i o le to te leonisi o le atunu, ua si ele mo ngasi o le LBJ, o lo wa aya i au ngore nei wha mai o le RSV. E pe ona tala no ina le tae ona le la e le matanga duengo le soifu malu loina. E le na o le wha mai o le RSV o lo a fia nisi o le territory, o lo au to wa atu le mo ngasi mo sa ilinga tong fitinga, o lo ia nisi o wha mai pepesi, o lo a fia i le mamalu o le atunu. Peita isa Machete le whamanatu ma le whautua ino le atunu ua tusa ma le whamai o le RSV ua tele na fiai le whanauiti.
O whanau o la tau lava e pitosiri o na pisia o na maua i nei whamai. Mea fo na ua tumu ai te tonu al piriaki i le whalmai LPJ o na o whanau ua pisi e nei whamai. E whaingo fie ia o na maua whanau ai meisi so stangata ni whamai. A wā o le whamai e maua mai i le pe tale atu se tasi se tulou ia o le whaua se tulou e pipisi atu ai a whai e le puni ina ia fōlinga o po fufonga fo i o tangata o lo whea ngai ma lea tangata. Ia e maua ngō fia ia oi, e maua foi pe atale, pe mawhatua, ai mei se foi pe mawhatua e pipisi i lunga o whaitutoa o mea lo tatala ai whaitutoa, ai mei se mea e tango ai lima o tangata. O le awala na e mawhai o na pipisi ai nei wha mai. O lea e foi lea e matuti whalatalata tuai. E ao o na tātou puipuia le pipisi o le nei wha mai. Uni awala pe o na saunua tuai fo mai mua e ao o na puipuia ai i tātou mai nei wha mai. O le mea tā ua le ua whai teimi nei na amataina nei aso o na tāpunia ia Daycare po o mea no fuanga nei o lo tausi e le whanau ina ia wha lai tia le pisi o wha mai. Ai mai se foi o mea tā ua o nei loa e mātua ma e o lo whea ngai tau singa o whanau. O le fufulu ina o 5 i teimi uma. Ai mai se foi ia whaau ngā ia tali fufonga pe a whai e whetalei pe maa whatua o foi lao a wala na e maasani e tātou pei fo e ona whea ngai e tātou COVID. O a wala lava na e ao on tātou whaia. E ao ona tātou wola ai e pui e o tātou whanau ai meise le lau te lenga o le tātou atunu. Ia o le teimi nei a whai e te sida fia o lo o maua lo walo po o se isi o tau a inga i nei a unga e iei le tale o le tafe o le isu e mwhaifu e o na fiva o le fia ai i whanau o a unga na e te iloa ai ua maua lau tama i le nei infecti o le RSV ia e ao la ona e tu lai mai ma whao ngā au wala ia e whai e ona puipuia lau whanau po lo a inga.
O le tae au na le la sa o tuai le whaao le whainga malo le a fionga re kovana sili a pula li ini ko lau pula masui o lana kapineta e moli mawina tau mawhainga alo mawhanau o lea o ngā mawalunga a tāfuna i le tū whaatekonolosi.
O le whaamoemoe le whanau, o le whaalawi loina lea o le tomai masini whaona ponei, na whaatumulia le whale ai a le laumua le tua i sui o le malo, ai maise, o le whanau a o ngā mai le vaenga le JROTC, o le aunga auti o le whaamoemoe le nei tae au, o no le taimi mo le nei o le amasi i antua i alo e to ono, o filifilie le a o ngā tāfuna e whai masui o le atunu, e se tasi o tauwanga i atunu mamao. O fōringa vaai o le fia ma le langona whaangaitia, sa vaai e le a fionga i le kovana sili, o no le mawae o le songa o le whanau i teknolosi. Na sauno fo i se tasi o sui a le whanau, o le a whai malanga atu i atunu mamao, e tu sai ma le whaata ita inga i le nei tae au.
O le whamoemoe whanau sa whapeona, whai le nei aso, o lo whapeole, o se whamoemoe o leo le a tapena i whanau i le vai aso leo le asau. Lo whapeona sauni whanau e compete i le Reno, Nevada, i le drone competition. Ia, o le mafo angal whamoemoe nei ia mātou te whaasino atu ai i atunu mamao mea o loo iai nei le polkalama le JROTC o loo telefo i mea o loo whapeona offer a le JROTC program. Ia, le telini si tala o le whamoemoe nei whanau whape e tu inatu lato i atunu mamao ma wha e tele ina le tato atunu unei o whapeona pe le mawhaeona nei loa mai tato i isi atunu ai mi se fo iskeke a isi atunu e a fie fo isi atunu i le whamoemoe le nei i Reno, Nevada. I le ngata i lea e fo isi a onga le atunu Samoa o lo whapea fo ona sauni nei whamoemoe ai pe tai o le mato au le nei o leo le a sauni atu i le whamoemoe nei i Reno, Nevada a le aerial drone competition. E to onga mato o leo le whaimalanga atu i le whaimalanga le aerial drone competition o lo whapea ona e lo awa le 9799 Bravo. E to onga lava mato e a foi. E a fia foi mato instructors le senior army instructor ya major ngalo ya e mise foi master sergeant Plutasi. Yo la wole o chaperones mato au o la weva aina mato ma pupuina mato a wale ne fa mo whanau le langa yatsu i lewa yasu. Ia o le temi mole ne o le a malanga ele au a tafuna i Reno, Nevada a wafa mo ne ale aerial drone competition. O se opportunity te le ua tuina mai a te mato whanau. Leo le a mato o atu i atunu mamao e whaale atu ai. Mea sa mato ngalulue i ai. Ai me se fo i ngaluenga le aso. Awa fofonga le aso mato whea ngai. Ai me se fo i ao onga.
E nisi o tala ua whaamanui eina nei se tasi o alo Amerika Samoa. I se tasi o tō whinga i longa i te tono o le kapineta le fionga i presidenti a Trump i lana no fua inga. Wa avea nei le tamaitai a Tulsi Gabbard ma whaatonu ale National Intelligence ale United States. O se tasi o tama whanau le atunu sa so i fua mai le fionga o le loloa ma whaasolo tuai i le state o Hawaii. Sa avea fo i masui ale state o Hawaii i le Konkeresi, whaapeni se o tō whinga whaataitai to tono le vaenga le ami. Sa paasia i le senate i le 5 i le 5 palota. O lea tō whinga o le aia taitai ai le ofisa o fia i le FBI, CIA ma le NSA i matafa ioi i tawalumanga i le matai tuina o so o sef so ta inga ma whaamatalanga e ono a fia i le saunga le mua le malo tele mauna a seta. O se tō whinga mawalunga ua lawi lo atu ai le atunu i tutono le whainga malo Amerika e peona whai loa le sui au au Amerika Samoa i Konkeresi le a fionga iau i whaatani au mua amata. O se tasi o mitanga mo le territory, a wā e le au maua whaavanoa whapenei. O le nei tō whinga fōu e le ngata mo se sa langolangoina le sunga ya Trump i vai taimi o kempeni, a ona nga waa ma le tō mai mo le siliatu ma le 2 tausanga i to tono le military o to tono le fono Hawaii whaapea fōina tō whinga sa iai to tono le Konkeresi. Nuna yaso le lei mai lau KVZK News. Sa mafuli le tele o fina ngalo a fionga senatua i le langolangoina o sunga ya Donald Cruise ma Barney Sene i taimi o ilo ilonga o tau finga o whaatonu o matanga luenga o le tupe, whapele matanga luenga o wafuma malaiva lele a le territory. O le sunga ya Donald Cruise, o lo tau sia le ka le sia a le Cornerstone Assembly of God, ma o se fight businessi a le taita inga o le pelene supermarket, ua tofia le afionga ko vana le tofio le tupe a le malo. Sa wha fina ngalo a afionga i senatoa e tusa ma mata whaioi e te tau ma le tupe, o se tasi o mata upu sa sauno i ainisi o senatoa o le tupe maua le malo, wha tasi ma le tau mawhainga a le whainga malo e fuafua le tupe whaalu, pe tai o nisi o fisili sa whautuaina na ia tuu mo se taimi o iluma pe a mai o na ilo anga waa o le sunga ya Cruise.
O lipoti ia na tuina atu le sunga i le kovana i le amatanga o preliminaries and they are unaudited. Ai o le ala tau mawhai a le afionga tok le kovana matou nei. E wawa aipo le ase tūlanga i mawhai o na tipi mai e lalo tatou expenses. Ona o lae e whaata mai whapena i tatou preliminary ma tatou unaudited numbers. O le lana amatai le 10% cost containment. Ia ma o le whaatata noa pea po le asis tūlanga i mawhai ai ona fisoswani le tūlanga ma lo whanau lava.
Sasau nole a fionga le peristene i atua olo maana i a fruen e tusa malona fina ngalo i le sunga ya Cruise o anga waa ma le tofa ina ia ilo ai se tangata e wha maoni i ona tiute ma alofa i le atunu. O le tusa wha mamafa i aila na saunoanga e le ngata ilona tali tonunga o le anga lue Cruise ma le wha maoni ona o le tangata o mautulo na tamau ainga wha pia foio le au na le atua e te tawai ona whaia le ngā luenga ma le ami o tonu.
O le singe ko fingar ko vanga sa whakari ai. O whea e rewhi ngalo ko vanga, isi keu kupe le ko uri. E marul moka. O le pasisi konguangi e nida e ka kourkangaka financially well off. A wa a kourkangaka e le leilonga background i me kau kupe. E le kanga vale. E le ngā oi se kulou ar upo ko ia kia. E le accepting ko ngā deal vo i e shortcut ma me whapenga. Or ko whinga la don. O le me mai le kua. O le vanga oi le kua. Hai ko ke mamlama ka kowi nga i ngo fo inga. Karuai. Kors furonga milionga. Fe ori e. 2 miljoen van mij veel en zei e mo met official governor where 1.5 million veel malai vale le ko lau where o sia ki o mari poki ko se lau mo kupul palace la e account e en said wole se kupe a kongu ra ngalo ku lai mai tan vai mene I want to send a message irka ka accountability mengi o le mene o lek le ku kai mi uma ke vai down pa kang vai lo pisis in God we trust alar ka nga vai el malol ni sa mo le ku alan mele wingi o fa mo ka ka la ko manga o fa mo me manga ai au ku le ku a ko le wala le nga mai o ka fa sa o me ye down I know you don't need a salary ke le o ma visi ku pe sia ai mo ku lo ai nga o la fa ko ngar ka ya ngir ka ko mo o fe o ir ko fa mo ki ku pe le ala ku a ko ngo foi a ngaron ko fi fa fi au e la un ke la va nga la u ba vale ke li e fa maung yo fa ko ngar ka ya ngir fa fa cheme
O le sunga ya Barney Sene sa iluilo mapasi e le senate mo le taufinga o le whaatonu wafu mamalaiva alele. Sa whaalia fina ngalo nisi o afionga i senatua i mata upa tau ma lea taufinga Peita i sa to langolangoina le mau na whaatuina le awhionga ia moangu titia, ona le ngata o se alo e whaasino i lona i tū malo, a ona nga waa o lo iai, sa sau no malama fo le awhionga le Peristenio le Senate, ina ia whaapasi e ina mua, sau se taimi o na tue a mea lea, a wafesili mamata upo e whailoa ina e tusa mapaketi, mga luenga ale matanga luenga, sa lolo le tau fio le awhionga le taitai komiti a mao wha o mangongo, ma wha mutaina lea mata upu. Nunu yaso le lei mai lau KVZK News. I reporti mai le whaamsinonga, o se ali e tolus fululima tau sanga le matua, o lo otua ia nei ilo na wha o lima i se tasi o ali, e ale le whaongaina o se anga ese, ua tu inatu nei lana mata upu le whaamsinonga mawalunga mo le iloiloina.
O le ua molia nei o Omar mawingoa mai whaliniu, na tu la ilu mo le whaamsinonga whai tu malo, lea olo tua ia ai o ia, i morianga le whao lima i le tūlanga muamua, a toa ima le whaatupu vevesi no fuanga whaitele. Olo tua ia e whaapea, na whaafetaui e mawingoa le ua afiema se tasi o ana wo, a wanga i mai i whafo se tasi o whale oloa i pawaiai. E peo na ta ue wha maumaunga le wha msinonga e wha pea, o mawingoa, o lo o ia tō soi nā tu se wiri paelo, ma ia tau fia ai le wa afia malana wo, ma ia lui nai le wa afia. E na wa amata o na wha vesi la ua nei e alai le whelafulafo ino upu ma wha amtalanga, na i ua i lava, na o lima o le isi. Na apa atu mawingoa i tonu le wili paelo, ma u mai le anga ese se itulou, ma wha o ai manu ai le ulu o le wa afia. Na nga ia tu nisi sa ia i le whawhita uli ma whasosoani le wa afia nei, ma whawhasota ia i loa le ofisa o leo. O le asoata e ao le atula ia i le ua molia, i luma le whamsinonga mawalunga.
Mai e tātou tala mai e pia, na te ena le whamsinonga le talo sanga, e te tala i tua se tase o le isaina e whaasfulu ono tau sanga o le matua, o loo i le tu ese i le taimi nei, ona o se whaalavelave na ia whaongai na i se la au malosi, e whao aini manu e se tase o li i leo, ma tau fia wha malosi lona to lua e te tono lona whale.
O le alisaina ua maulia nei a tau liu po o liu tau, na tula i luma o le whamsinonga mawalunga, lea sa tula i ai le li iloia ia Shane Wolf mo tau. Na whailoa i le whamasino ia whipulea i Amperosa Roma, le ua maulia ua toi tolo po le mata upu, mo le tua leo e whamautu ai maulia ngai whaasanga ia te ia. Na whailoa fo i le whamsinonga i le loia a le ua maulia e whapea, ua le mawhaiona te tala i tua, o nau se polo inga e pu e whapango ta ile li o lo modia le sa le i o antu i lumo le whaamsinonga mo le modianga o lona whaonga ino upu tau whaamatau. E peo na si le fia o le nei whaalave na tula i mai le masina na te nei, le na tali antua i malu le malo, e se fe ese inga le ua molia malona to lua. Le ana ia whao o ai manua i se tasio leo, e whaonga ina i se au penga malosi. O sui o le societe saina ma tangata whainga duenga a le official ampasa saina sa lātou whaia se sauta ua i whetunga ina e tusa ai ma lea mata upu. Na urua i tula i liu i le mōrianga o le tau mawhai e wha umara soifu o se tangata o le umia wha sori tula fono se whana ma wha upenga ina i se upenga matautia. O le teminei o loo iluiluina e li tua leo mōrianga wha upopo e wha asanga ia te ia.
Mao le aso o mai nei matalo le tau ma le tai mo Amerika Samoa. Whaaftai Amerika Samoa i lo whaatasi mai e ala i nisi o tala mai lau KVZK TV le nei tū lau le afiafi. Ia manuia le nei afiafi, tau whaasa i fua. The DOH closed all daycare centers due to RSV and influenza. Cadets of the Tafuna High School JROTC showcased their drones for competition. Tulsi Gabbard is the new director for U.S. National Intelligence Office.
Talofa News from KVZK TV. Leading the news tonight, the Department of Health today emphasized a health alert advising residents about increased community transmission of respiratory diseases. These include COVID-19, RSV, and influenza. Here is more on this report.
Today, the Department of Health held a press conference to stress the urgent need for the public to closely follow health alerts and notices as part of efforts to mitigate the growing community transmission of respiratory diseases. During the press conference, epidemiologist Adam Conrote highlighted that there has been a significant uptick in the number of patients presenting with respiratory symptoms at the LBJ Hospital emergency room in recent weeks.
In recent weeks, we have seen a concerning increase in RSV cases, particularly among infants and young children. As a result, hospital admissions have risen, with many young patients requiring medical attention. Due to the significant number of cases amongst daycare-aged children, we have made the necessary decision to temporarily close daycare facilities in the territory to help slow the spread. We recognize the impact this may have on families, but protecting the health of our children is our number one priority. RSV is a highly contagious virus that spreads through droplets from coughs and sneezes, as well as contact with contaminated surfaces. It often causes mild cold-like symptoms, but can lead to serious illness, especially in babies, the elderly, and individuals with weakened immune systems. We urge parents and caregivers to be vigilant for signs of RSV, such as persistent coughing, wheezing, difficulty breathing, and fever. If your child or a vulnerable family member exhibits these symptoms, please seek medical care immediately. To help prevent the spread of RSV, we strongly encourage everyone to practice good hygiene, including frequent hand washing and sanitizing, disinfecting commonly touched surfaces, and avoiding close contact with sick individuals. Keeping sick children at home and limiting their exposure to crowded places will also help reduce transmission.
During the press conference, Conrote also discussed the status of COVID-19 and influenza cases. He emphasized the importance of addressing these public health challenges and underlined that an emergency health declaration will be issued if necessary.
In addition to RSV, we are closely monitoring the ongoing presence of COVID-19 and influenza. While case numbers remain moderate, we remind everyone that vaccination remains the best defense against severe illnesses. We encourage all eligible individuals to get their COVID-19 boosters and annual flu shots, which are available at local health clinics. Wearing masks in crowded spaces and staying home when feeling unwell are also effective ways to reduce the spread of these viruses. The Department of Health is actively working with LBJ Hospital to manage the current situation and ensure that medical facilities are equipped to handle the increase in respiratory illnesses. Our public health teams are conducting continuous surveillance and will provide timely updates as needed. We are also working closely with LBJ Hospital to identify a threshold for an emergency declaration. As of now, we have not declared an emergency. However, all of our current measures are precautionary to ensure that we reduce the spread of this virus as early as possible. Should the need for an emergency declaration arise, it'll be communicated through official ASG channels and through DOH media channels as well.
The increase in RSV cases has led to the temporary closing of daycare centers in the territory, as indicated by Conrote. The Department of Human Social Services issued a statement earlier this week in line with the recommendations by the Department of Health that due to the surge in the number of children presenting with RSV at the hospital and clinics, all child care facilities will be closed today, Wednesday, February 12, 2025. This closure will last at least 2 weeks to reduce the spread of RSV, particularly among infants and toddlers. the parents are urged to arrange alternate care for their children. Joyeta Fiangaimali with your news on KVZK.
Cadets from the Tafuna High School JROTC showcased their preparations for the drone competition they will be attending in Reno, Nevada. This will be a great experience for these students due to its wide audience on a national level. This will also show their talents and creativity that is put into their projects.
This competition, this is the very first time a team from American Samoa has gone out to the drone competitions off island, let alone nationwide. And so the purpose of this is to have our kids experience what it is like competing off island. They have worked hard, tireless nights and mornings, coming together to practice, make sure that they perfected their courses, their programming. There has been a lot that has gone into making sure that they are prepped and ready for this competition alone. There will be 5 of our cadets. That is one team, Team 96799 Bravo, and 2 chaperones, which are our Senior Army Instructors, Major Ngaloya and Master Sergeant Pulatasi. The competition will be held in Reno, Nevada. We'd just like to thank you for this opportunity to be able to showcase what our kids have been working so hard on and just showing the community that there are endless opportunities for us out there.
A daughter of American Samoa has advanced in her professional career and has been approved by the Senate to serve in the Trump administration's cabinet. This is a historic moment as she is the first American Samoa to serve as a director in the U.S. government.
Tulsi Gabbard from Leloloa, a former Hawaii congresswoman, secured confirmation in the Senate on a 50-48 vote. In her new role, Gabbard will oversee the 18 agencies within the U.S. intelligence community, serving as the president's top advisor on intelligence matters. Before joining the Trump administration, Gabbard, who was born in American Samoa and raised in Hawaii, represented the Hawaii in the U.S. House as a Democrat for 4 terms from 2013 to 2021. She ran for president as a Democrat, but left the party in 2022 and changed her affiliation to Republican when she began campaigning for Trump last fall. She is a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserve and served in Iraq. Congresswoman Uifatali Mu'amata congratulated Gabbard, noting that this high-level post in the president's cabinet is a historic moment for American Samoa and for Pacific Islanders in the United States government. Amata expressed her appreciation for the distinction awarded to any of our people, but she emphasized that it is particularly special because Gabbard is a friend, a former colleague, and part of her family. Gabbard was born right here in the territory in the village of Leloloa. She is a patriot who has served our country in the military for many years. Amata cited that Gabbard will embrace these significant responsibilities during critical times with great dedication. Gabbard has over 20 years of military service, during which she was deployed to Iraq and stationed in Kuwait. She continued her service in the Hawaii National Guard and the Army Reserve, achieving the rank of lieutenant colonel. In Congress, she held various committee roles closely related to national security and homeland security. Currently, she leads the U.S. intelligence community and serves as a principal advisor to the president on intelligence matters. Joyeta Fiangaimali with your news on KVZK.
Donald Cruz and Barney Sene received the support of the Senate following their confirmation hearings on Tuesday morning.
Donald Cruz, the senior pastor of the Cornerstone Assembly of God and chief executive officer of the Peileen Supermarket, is the governor's nominee for treasurer. Senator Utusila Puasa highlighted during the hearing that the American Samoa government announced a shortfall of $28 million in the first quarter, despite projecting revenue of $55 million for the same period. To address this issue, Mr. Cruz explained that based on unaudited and preliminary financial reports, the American Samoa government implemented several cost containment measures, including a 10% reduction in spending across all departments and agencies. This reduction will remain in effect while the government's finances are thoroughly analyzed. Senator Utu elaborated on the government's current financial situation. However, the Vice President of the Senate, Mangalei Longvi'i Mangalei, urged the chairman to consider that Cruz had only been in office for 2 weeks and had yet to understand the complexities of the government's financial situation fully. The president of the Senate, Tua'olo Manae-Fruen, supported this viewpoint, suggesting that the issue could be addressed later. For now, the focus should remain on the confirmation of the treasure. Tua'olo later asserted that Cruze is the quintessential candidate for the critical position. He articulated that the government requires a leader who is not only financially astute, but also possesses considerable personal wealth. This dual attribute would help ensure that the appointee does not engage in shortcuts or misuse of public funds, which has been a concern in the past. He reminded the senators of the financial predicaments encountered during the previous administration, particularly emphasizing the millions of dollars allocated for various projects that ultimately failed to produce tangible results. For instance, Tua'olo pointed out the staggering $36 million spent without proper legislative approval, raising serious questions about oversight and accountability. Furthermore, the Senate president highlighted the millions earmarked for renovating the old ANZ building, which remains incomplete even years after the funds were allocated. He questioned the current status of another $1.5 million designated for airport improvements, noting that only $100,000 was left unspent to date. Where has the rest of the money gone? He asked, underlining the lack of transparency in these transactions. And I quote, "I want to send a strong message that someone will be held accountable for this," unquote. According to the Senate president, Cruze's appointment is fortuitous and a divine blessing. Tua'olo expressed concern. What was lacking was a genuine sense of accountability and integrity, which he believes stems from diminished reverence for ethical principles by the past administration. He pointed out that our currency bears the motto, "In God We Trust," reflecting the cultural values of American Samoa, which places God at the forefront of its identity. However, he lamented that the prevailing attitude reveals an every man for himself mentality, neglecting the core values of honesty and integrity that should guide public service. Additionally, Tua'olo reaffirmed that being financially secure, Cruze is less likely to be influenced by personal gain, making him a trustworthy choice for the role. The discussion proceeded efficiently during the confirmation hearing for Barney Sene, who is serving as the acting director of the Port Administration. Senator Mwangutsia Moivasa Tauoa was the first to address the phono. He noted that Sene is from his district, but is also an exceptionally qualified candidate for this pivotal position. Senator Mwangutsia highlighted Sene's extensive credentials and relevant experience, underscoring his capability to oversee the complex operations of the port's administration effectively. The senator further articulated that this nomination reflects their shared aspirations, seeking to elevate local talent who have dedicated their careers to serving the island community. He noted that it is a remarkable opportunity for individuals with deep ties to the territory to step into public service in such a significant capacity. After making his case, Senator Mwangutsia motioned to adjourn the hearing to allow the senators to decide. Barney Sene holds a bachelor's degree in computer science and electrical engineering from California State University, a qualification that provides him with a strong technical foundation. Additionally, he earned a specialized certificate from the School of Aeronautical Engineering and Electrical Engineering at San Jose State University, further enhancing his expertise in these critical fields. Joya Tafengai Mali with your news on KVZK.
In our news from the court, a 35-year-old man accused of assaulting another man with a machete had his case bound over to the High Court.
The defendant, Omar Mawingoa of Faleniu, recently appeared in the district court where he is facing charges of first-degree assault and disturbing the public peace. It is alleged that the defendant approached the victim as he exited a store in Pavaiai with a friend. Court filings say Mawingoa, who was pushing a wheelbarrow, stopped them and challenged the victim to a fight. The verbal argument escalated into a physical alteration. During the fight, the defendant reached into the wheelbarrow, grabbed a machete, and struck the victim on the head. Bystanders rushed to assist the victim, while the defendant fled the scene on foot. The police were contacted, and the victim was subsequently taken to the LBJ hospital, where he received a treatment for a cut on his head, approximately 5 inches long. The defendant will be arraigned in the High Court tomorrow morning. Joyeta Whengai Mali with your news on KVZK.
News from Apia, a 46-year-old Chinese national alleged to have shot a police officer and held his ex-wife hostage at gunpoint last month was denied bail by the Supreme Court this week.
Tao Liu, also known as Liu Tao, appeared in the Supreme Court earlier this week. He is represented by Shane Wolf. Justice Vipuleai Amparosaroma informed the defendants that the matter had been adjourned for the prosecution to finalize the charges against him. The court also notified the defense counsel that bail was denied due to an outstanding arrest warrant against his client, who had previously failed to appear in court for a charge of using threatening words. The incident began when police responded to a domestic dispute at Liu's residence, where he operated his business. Upon arriving at the scene in Siusenga, Liu allegedly fired shots at the police officers, injuring one. He then barricaded himself in his shop with his ex-wife as a hostage. After 3 hours of negotiations, Liu released his ex-wife and ultimately turned himself in. Members of the Chinese community and officials from the Chinese embassy played a crucial role in the negotiations. Liu was initially charged with attempted murder, unlawful possession of a firearm, and armed with a dangerous weapon. The prosecution is currently considering additional charges. Joyeta Whengai Mali'i with your news on KVZK.
Stay tuned for your weather and tide report. And that concludes your news. Thanks for joining us. Tofasi Fua.